Exactly. And then it licks her, and then she drops the phone, and Dylan pukes.
Like he's foaming at the mouth or something. The
and
phone's foaming.
The phone is foaming as well. And she's freaking the fuck out. And then he starts screaming shit, and she grabs a hold of him again. And then he says, I can't remember what he says. He says something.
Something fake creepy.
He says something creepy as fuck again.
Guess.
Yeah, and then his nose spontaneously starts bleeding, and then she goes to wash him off, and that's the end of that scene. And this, I believe, is when she takes him in, finally. Of like, you know what? We got to do something about this.
No, not yet.
Fucking creepy bastard. Not yet?
No.
Jesus.
Because it's her and John Sexton at the park.
Right. She waits too fucking long. Oh, yeah, that's right. He almost kills himself. Then she finally does something.
So they're talking
about,
like, Freddy, that's a movie. Like, what are you talking about?
But he's being very supportive of, like, look. She's like, I have some history of mental illness in my family. And he's like, look, if having a fucking crazy person in your past made you crazy, we'd all be nuts. And he's being very supportive.
Which is interesting, because a guy his age would just be like, listen, you loony broad. Let's be honest, guys. Let's cut this shit here.
I gotta tell you, this would jump up to my favorite movie in the franchise if he's just like, listen to me, you crazy dame.
Yeah, like, listen, this is an old dude from old school Hollywood. He wouldn't be supportive. Come on.
That would be the greatest thing ever. By the way...
John Saxon? Come on.
The crazy dame line, that would be from the 40s. He was not acting in the 40s. He's not that fucking old.
But he's from then.
No, he was born then. That doesn't mean he was fucking acting then. Jesus. Although... like I said, if that happened, this would be my favorite movie of all time. It would be hilarious.
So he's talking to her and they're having a conversation.
And then,
whilst Dylan is climbing up something that shouldn't be in a playground for children, because children love to climb.
Yeah.
This thing goes about, 5, 6 stories up?
But it was real.
Yeah,
because they have it.
I wonder why they tore this fucking thing down. How many kids jumped off that thing?
Yeah.
Anyways,
I remember things being that high when I was a kid,
He's going all the way to the top. She's not paying attention. Like a good mother.
Yeah, like you do. And then she eventually sees, like, because other parents are like, instead of saying something, they're just running away.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, great parenting by everybody here. Just saying.
So he's at the top, like the tippity-tippity top.
Yeah, and he's reaching up, and then he starts to waver. And this is when Heather, fuck, I keep doing that, eventually, starts running like, fuck this, my kid's gonna die. And she runs, and then he falls, she catches him in the nick of time.
That's the most horrifying thing I think any child has ever said in a movie.
God wouldn't take me.
Jesus Christ! Because they have a conversation in the scene previous when they're in bed talking about God. Like, Daddy's with God.
Yeah.
And do I need to die to see God?
Yeah.
How have you...
Well, that was and that was part of what John was saying.
The kids get existential now, Heather.
Well, that was the thing. That was the other part that John was trying to help with. He's just like, look, he just lost his father. How does a 5-year-old process that? And John's right. That's not how you process it. 5-year-olds don't process it like that. This kid is clearly fucking nuts.
I'm talking about the Lord.
Yeah. This kid's clearly nuts, so we finally do something about it.
No.
My God, this bitch.
She calls Robert.
Right.
Who's painting.
Right. And he's painting
and she's like, I need to see you. We need to talk. And he's like, this weekend's not
Well, first of all, he's having an orgasm.
Yeah.
He's painting and coming at the same time. It's great.
Oh, he's going hard in the paint, literally.
And she starts talking about, like, have you seen the script? And he's just like, yeah. And it's so weird. And she's just like...
No, you're weird.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're a crazy person. Then she's just like, he goes, well, how far along is he? And he says, well, it's about as long as Dylan reaching God.
Whatever that means.
Isn't that weird? Like,
because he said that's what Wes told him.
He's like, isn't that weird? He puts your kid in the script, and she's just like realization striking her of like, what in the blue fuck is going on? And then she's like, Robert, I need to talk to you. You're clearly fucked up. Let's talk. And he goes, well, she's like, can I come over? And he goes, today's not so good. I have something I want to finish. And she goes, well, tomorrow then. Yeah.
Early.
Sure.
She says, like, early in the morning.
And he just says, yeah, sure, and hangs up. And then it's an image, it's a picture, a painting he's been painting of
some souls?
Freddy slashing some souls.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent, and it might be, they never say who, but it might be the same guy who did the original 5 posters.
So she's sleeping in bed.
Mm-hmm.
Very reminiscent of the first movie. Mm-hmm. Instead of a face, it's the claw coming through the sheets. Mm-hmm. Cuts through the sheets, is about to claw her face.
Those things were extremely sharp.
Yeah.
And
she was really sleeping there.
Yeah. And the way they had to do that was the stunt guy who was underneath.
He can't see.
He couldn't see, but also he couldn't move his hands like that. So what he had to do was stick his hands up, and then they had to have 4 other guys pulling him. That was the only way they were able... Yeah, that was the only way they were able to do it straight.
And then she wakes up, notices the bed's been slashed.
Yeah, kind of in the same vein as the claw between the legs in the bathtub in the original.
Goes downstairs, she hears rustling in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. It's Dylan.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Just watching the Nightmare on Elm Street.
We were literally in the same position yesterday.
Yeah, which is funny because this is when she finally decides, like, we're done here.
Well, it's because... He starts freaking out, and then he brandishes
homemade
first of all, claws.
Yeah, and he's steak knives to his fingers, and he's hacking at her, and it's like, I'm like, all right, Jesus Christ on a cracker.
But then she wakes up, and it's actually a bad dream, and that's when they call the doctor.
And it's like, oh, maybe we'll finally take him to the hospital. You think?
Because, again, Freddie on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Lynn Shay is your nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird, because wouldn't she be like... Weren't you in the first Nightmare?
Yeah, like, how do we not notice that you were here? Lynn, you were the teacher in the original film. Hello?
Are you a nurse now?
Yeah. It's Bob Shay's sister.
Did acting not work out?
Yeah. Acting didn't work out, so you actually did something useful. Okay.
So, and she's like, come on, cowboy, we're going to give you a pill to help you go to sleep.
Yeah, sleep and whatever. And then
he fucking gums it.
Yeah. He puts it in his mouth and swallows, and they're like, oh, that's great. And then, so... They cut to him potentially, and they're having a conversation, and everything's cool. And then he pulls the pill out because he's not
puts it under his pillow.
He's also catatonic. Yeah, that's the thing that sort of doesn't really come off all that well. But
it's hard for like a child actor to.
It's supposed to be. But here's the fucking weird thing. All of a sudden, the doctor starts asking stupid questions.
Oh, about your films. Has he seen your films?
Have you seen your films? The horror stuff? You mean the 2 horror films she's done by this point? Yeah. He's watched, of all the movies, because she did do a bunch of shit, she's only showed him 2 movies. It was Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 3. Who would ask such a stupid question? But that's not it's not the only dumb shit that comes out of it. And then, they're just sort of having a conversation, and then they tell her to fucking leave.
Yeah. We got him.
Okay.
We got him.
This is the most fictional part of the whole fucking movie. On what fucking universe would a hospital tell the mother of a 5-year-old child who was there for multiple issues that she should leave?
No.
That would never, ever, ever happen.
You can go, we got this.
Not gonna happen.
So she just go.
Yeah, she leaves. And then she calls up Robert.
And who's gone?
Who's gone?
And he's just like, we're gonna be gone for
We're gonna be away for a while.
Yeah,
all right.
We're out of this film.
Yeah, we're out.
So she goes and visits Wes.
Mm-hmm. In his palatial Hollywood estate, which is not his home.
And he tells her about the script, and she kind of, at that point, deduces...
It's sort of the reality starts kicking in, where she's like, come on, asshole, you know. And he's just like, and she's like, did you know what was happening? He's like, it was a script. I didn't know.
Because he wrote in Chase dying.
Yeah. He's wrote everything in, and he's just like, it keeps happening, and he didn't know, but now he does. Because he knows about... Because basically he explains what's going on, even though he didn't know until
it's not Freddy.
Yeah, he's like, it's not Freddy. It's a age-old entity that exists, that once he latches onto a good story, he'll remain there. But if you stop making them, he's got nowhere to go. So he tries to enter our world, but he's got to have a gatekeeper to cross. And that's you. And she goes, well, why? And he said, because you were the first one to humiliate him, to take away his power, so it has to be you. And she's like, it wasn't me, it was Nancy.
Yeah, it's like, that was a movie, dude.
But he's like, you're the one who gave Nancy her strength. All of this is actually making sense.
Yeah.
And then she just sort of goes, well, what the fuck do I do? And he says, well, you have to make a choice, whether you're willing to play Nancy one last time. And then it cuts to a computer screen, and that is written on the script. Get where we're going with this, guys.
She sees on the news that Terry and Chuck, who have not been seen since the opening of the film...
And this is my other fucking problem.
...have been found in a field, gutted.
Yeah. Here's where my other fucking problem comes in. What the news lady says. The 2 special effects artists working on the new Nightmare on Elm Street film. Fuck you.
Because that was the dream.
Well, it's not that. They probably were. And then they died.
Well, because they're helping him with the glove. They're probably helping Chase with the glove.
New Line Cinema is not going to put out a fucking press release saying that we're making a new Nightmare on Elm Street film if you haven't gotten your fucking main star attached yet.
Also, I don't know if they'd want to take credit. Oh, yeah, 2 of our guys died.
Yeah. Nobody is mentioning Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's the first, there's another one too where somebody mentions Freddy Krueger where I'm like, who the fuck would say that sentence? But we'll get there in a minute. But this literally happens where they're like working on the new Nightmare on Elm Street. They would never say that. And this would be the first time anyone said that they're working on a Nightmare on Elm Street film, and trust me, no one's going to use that as publicity.
So, earthquake happens, shit goes down, Freddy appears.
Freddy finally says, miss me.
Like, full Freddy.
By the way, a legit good jump scare, which is not something you get ever. And this one is really good.
And he attacks Heather. And looks great. The coat, the glove.
He looks fantastic.
The actual burn makeup on his face.
He looks about 9 feet tall, which is fantastic. Rocking
leather pants.
Yeah. Looks very much like his namesake. Very fucking hard German. Which I know that's what they were going for. Like, ridiculously...
Like, very 90s Freddy. Like, this is like grunge Freddy.
Yeah,
like, this is like down and dirty
He's got
Freddy.
the big fucking, like, height-ass boots, and he's really ready to kill some shit.
So she gets out of that situation. Gets to the hospital. Julie's there, being denied at the door by the doorman, by the nurse going, like, there's no visiting hours, you need to leave.
Well, I mean, I guess, in a world where they're going to kick their mother out.
Well, because Heather shows up and she's like, yeah, you can't come in either.
Yeah.
Then the doctor shows up and like, what's going on here?
What fucking world is this going to happen? But okay.
So I guess they eventually let her in.
They do let her in.
Because she has a horrible bad dream. Because he's in a tent on a bed.
He's tented because basically
under observation.
So she's come in and said, like, I was worried something was up. And her arm's bleeding, by the way.
Yeah. Because
Freddy slashed her.
And the doctor's like, what the
fuck? But
you said you got this in the earthquake.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what earthquake? Because we didn't get one here.
Yeah, it was like, well, I guess we were lucky here. Which has happened more than once already, because Julie had the same thing. But it's because clearly Freddy's starting in earthquakes. So she starts fucking... They put him in an oxygen tent because he had a freak out. No doubt because Freddy was attacking Nancy or Heather, and he noticed. So they put him in that, and he's calm, everything's cool. But they're like, let's take a look at your fucking arm because you're bleeding all over the joint. So they start doing it, and then she references, like, something's after him. Like, she's not a very good poker player.
No, she's talking craziness.
She's talking craziness.
To a doctor who's just like, I already have your kid. I'm not giving him back to you.
Yeah, and then Heather says the only smart thing in the world, by the way, where the doctor's like, what, Freddy Krueger, the man from your films? So you have let him watch your movies. She goes... Freddy's like fucking Santa Claus. Every kid knows who he is. That's the only thing that has made sense so far.
Because, like, at the interview, the TV, there were plenty of children there. Like, they know
Trust me. I grew up in the 80s. At fucking Dylan's age. I knew who Freddy was.
Hey, Doc, Freddy Krueger paid for my house.
Yeah.
That's what else she has to say.
Yeah, like, trust me. This is famous enough that kids know who he is. Deal with it.
So, but the doctor's very staunch on, like, we're keeping the kid. Because I think they imply, like, he's been sleep deprived, and it's a whole, like, oh, is she abusive to him? Like, if she's forcing him to stay away?
They're not sure, because they're thinking that the mother might be the big problem. Yeah. They're starting to think it's, like, Munchausen by proxy.
Still lets her in.
Yeah, and
this is where the bad dream happens.
And then she passes out, and then she has a dream where he wakes up. And
freaking out.
And he's flailing about. But then he fucking gets up, and he's all fucking calm and shit, and he takes off the thing that's monitoring his heart.
Slashes.
He slashes the thing open, and it's just like, I'm almost there, Heather. Almost. And it literally turns into a deep voice, like they just modified his voice to say almost there. Then he fucking exorcists on him, and just pukes up some shit on her. And then Freddy shows up, and starts... Oh, no, sorry.
No, it's
the doctor shows up first. And the doctor gives one of the best Freddy impressions of anyone so far. where she's just like, oh god, like we got to do something, because he's having a fucking big
We're gonna
problem.
cut this
and they
evil
fucking
out of him.
and they hold him down and shit.